Jai Bhim all. Uh, Today, on the eve of 19th of November 2021, we have gathered to discuss about the rise and fall of Hindu women, who was responsible for it. Whatever I have studied, I will try to explain it my own understanding. So, here, uh, when and why it was written is the major point to concern. There, in the magazine of Mahabodhi, May-June 1951 edition, volume 59, article was pressed in Eve's Weekly magazine, and it was regarding that Buddhism is little bit biased towards the woman, and so Baba Sahib didn't digested this idea so very well. So why we are studying this rise and fall of Hindu woman by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar? Because the major one thing I would say relating to that articles we have read, uh, whole speech, the present day revival of Bhikkhuni ordination throughout the world is very struggling. Though we say that Buddhism is based on the equality principle, but why there are so many struggles happening for Bhikkhuni Sangha's revival? They have not authorized, or they haven't got the right to uh, to you know uh, to go for ordination. They needed to take the option for the Cecilia Matas or Maichi or something like that. But full ordination is not granted. So we need to be aware of what is the original text is saying. We need to clarify, and based on our understanding, we need to make sense that okay, this is to be taken and this is to be not taken. So why it was written? This clarification, Baba Sahib wanted to clarify the claims made against the stand taken by comparative studies of Hindu and Buddhist women, printed in Eve's Weekly of January 21, 1950. And though the Lama Govinda's article, The Position of Women in Hinduism and Buddhism, appeared in the Journal of Mahabodhi in March 1950 edition, this was not the sufficient article. So to remove that article, may I request if to mute yourself, please? Those who have joined, if there is noise around you, I'm asking you to mute yourself. So, in insufficiency is a major region. Baba Sahib wanted to dig down deeply into this article. There was a necessity to undergo at the root of the matter, because Baba Sahib thought this charge is so grave and so wild that it's necessity to go to the roots of the matter. And Baba Sahib wanted to, go for the further examination of this, and wanted to explore what are the issues, and we people to be aware and to examine it. So while going through the articles, I have come up with the 21 reasons to decide why the text on question of Ananda on woman from Mahaparinibban Sutta is latter interpolation by the Bhikkhus. And this is a major base, and based on this, many actions has been taken. This is the Mahaparinibban Sutta, when Buddha was near to extinguishment, and he is Ananda asked the questions regarding the woman. That text has been appeared here, but the text, if we go through it, which we will go in few minutes, this doesn't make sense, and because we feel that Pali text, we see the Pali canon as a sacred text, but in Sigalvada Sutta also Buddha asked us to, question everything and ask the questions on each and everything, whether that makes sense or not, to verify it, to cross check it. So we are going to study it, why we should not uh, uh, go through this text and believe on this, and this may be the latter interpolation by the Bhikkhus. 21 reasons to decide it. So, like there is a Pali canon, there are Sanskrit canon was also developed, and the Chinese Tripitaka was also developed. So here the first noteworthy thing to significantly consider is the text on women where Ananda asks Tathagata Buddha the questions about dealing with females in Mahaparinibban Sutta is completely omitted in Sanskrit Tripitaka. And also Baba Sahib has mentioned it is absent from the Chinese Tripitaka also. Second main reason is the narration. The question is abruptly inserted, disturbing the flow of the sutta. Means if we go through the many texts, the reconstructions, but such important passage would not be overlooked because it is Mahaparinibban Sutta, and last few words of Buddha was so essential and so valuable, which will be setting the whole path in front. So omission of this text is really questionable. The Sanskrit text continues. The question about the Tathagata's body remains. Uh, Sir, when I will not read the Sanskrit text, I will read the Pali text later. But the meaning was, Sir, when the Buddha has become fully extinguished, what should we do about honoring his remains? So, and the Pali text is this: Katham mayam bhante tathagatasta sarire patipajjam marti. Here meaning, sir, how do we practice when it comes to the realized one's remains? And Pali patipajjati is the verb, and its meaning is enters upon a path or course and goes along, follows a method. Patipajjama is the verb, and it's the first person plural. And Ananda is asking on behalf of the Sangha to the Buddha that what should they do as a group? And Buddha replies in a similar way, telling them tumhe, hmm, in a sense of tumhe, in a sense of them in English, to concentrate on their practice. The lay community, the Upasak and Upasika will look after the funeral rituals. So far, this is so straightforward. We are going through this step. But then Ananda asks the second question. In Pali, one that is only slightly different from before. Katham pana bhante tathagatasta sarire patipajja tabbanti. So here it is changed. But sir, what is to be practiced when it comes to the realize one's remains? Here, Ananda is asking on the behalf of lay followers because they are not communicating right now. So, what lay followers must do with the realized one's remains? So, here, Patipajji Tabbanti is a future passive participle, meaning to be practiced. Anybody who studies the sutta and will get to know the consistency of the wordings and the language, and it will get well acquainted with the similar phrasing of words. But here Buddha does not rebuke Ananda by telling him to stop asking the same question. Rather, he is describing the proceedings of the corpse, which will be done by lay people. So this shift from the first person plural to the future passive participle indicates the subject to be the lay people here. Now, what is the nuance and explicit? The same text in Sanskrit which doesn't include nuance is more explicit. Another second question in Sanskrit was, but sir, what should the Brahmins and householders do? Again, this is reconstructed, but the mention of the Brahmins and householders must have been in the source. Here, in the Mahaparinibban Stupa, there is a reference for the stupas, but however, in both sources have very early references to stupas. In fact, this is the prime source text for stupa worship in Buddhism. And in Pali, the text is Chatu Mahapathe Tathagatasta Stupo Kattabbo. A stupa should be built for the realized one at the crossroads. And there is a Sanskrit text meaning the same thing. The mention of stupa is noticeable here. Is one of the many textual indications that the passage is a late one. It goes without saying that the Mahaparinibban Sutta is a composite text composed over a considerable period of time. Also, it seems the section on woman is a latter stage. So, these are the latter interpolation we are discussing about. So coming to the main question of Ananda, which is so controversial. Ananda's question from Mahaparinibban Sutta. But to return to the question on woman, we find exactly the same verb structure. Ananda's question. Katham mayang bhante matugame patipajjamati. So how do we practice when it comes to women? Adastanam anandati. Not seeing Ananda. Here Buddha is telling not to see the woman. Dasane bhagava sati katham patipajjitabbanti. But when, but what? If we see, what is to be practiced? Analapo anandati. Without getting into the conversion ananda. Alatap alapantena pana bhante katham patipajjitabbanti. But when in a conversation, how we proceed? Sati ananda uppatappa pepantanti. Be mindful ananda. So this passage is really very important because here Ananda is asking, sir, how do we practice when it comes to women? And Buddha is saying, do not look at the woman. Then again, Ananda asks, what if we see the woman? And here Buddha is saying, without getting into the conversation, don't engage in the conversation. So, and what Ananda again asks, what if we engaged in a conversation? Then how we proceed? Then Sati Ananda. So be mindful Ananda. So these passages are really very we need to examine it thoroughly because we need to cross check and make sense that are there any instances of women interacting with Buddha? There's a woman interacting Buddha and Ananda and Bhikkhu Sangha. Did they disappeared or did they go away and didn't interact with women? We need to see that. We need to cross check. So first question is that probability of Ananda asking such question means Ananda was the one who initiated the Bhikkhuni Sangha. He recommended and he requested Buddha to form the Bhikkhuni Sangha. The possibility of such a question being raised by Ananda and such an answer given by Buddha is contradiction with the Pali Canon. Few gathas above this text, Buddha praised Ananda of how sweet he is and how he was loved by all. So Ananda's incredible qualities. This is Ananda Charya Dhamma. Pandito Bhikkhave Anando. Ananda is astute. Medhavi Bhikkhave Anando. He is intelligent. Buddha is praising Ananda. Janati ayam kalo tathagatam dasanaya upasankamitum bhikkунam ayam kalo bhikkhuni nam ayam kalo upasakanam ayam kalo upasikanam ayam kalo rayo rajamahattanam titiyannam titiyasava ka nanti. Meaning he knows the time for the monks, nuns, laymen, laywomen, king's ministers, religious founders, and the disciples of religious founders to visit the realized one. So we need to check here just before this this question has been asked. Buddha is praising with Ananda these qualities, and here we will check the authenticity on the Ananda's question. So here he's saying, Chatarome Bhikkhave Acharya Abhuta Dhamma Anande. There are these four incredible and amazing things about Ananda. Tatme Chattaro, what for? Sache Bhikkhave Bhikkhu Parisa Anandam Dasanaya Upasankamati Dasanena Sa Attamano Huti. If an assembly of monks goes to see Ananda, they are uplifted by seeing him. Tatra che Anando Dhammang Bhasati Bhasitenapi Sa Attamano Huti. And it is uplifted by hearing him speak. Atitva Atitava Bhikkhave Bhikkhu Parisa Hoti Attako Anando Tunni Hoti. And when he falls silent, they have never had enough. In an assembly of nuns, laymen, laywomen, wherever Ananda goes, they are uplifted by seeing him, and they are uplifted by hearing him speak. And when he is silent, when Ananda is silent, have they have never had enough. So these are the four incredible and amazing things about Ananda. Here we can see that they're talking about the lay woman also and Upasika also. This means Ananda is constantly or he is in contact with the woman. This phrase, this text indicates that. So from this, it is clear that it was usual for Ananda to meet, see, and talk the bhikkhunis and upasikas. But there is no objection on this before. So why Buddha would have been forbidding all contact with women now is the question. This text seems so unnatural. Ananda has already become an impeccable saint, that is an arhan, and yet he submits to a trial. The assembly calls upon him to do penitence for some sins, which can be seen later. Five blames on Ananda. Uh, there are five complaints against Ananda after the first council, when the Buddha is has made the Mahaparinirvana. So first was that Ananda didn't ask the blessed one which were the lesser and minor precepts. Second was the that he stepped upon the blessed one's garment on a rainy season to sew it. And third one is that the body of the blessed one was saluted by the woman first. So their weeping tears, that blessed one was defiled by tears. It is worthy of notice that this episode is not referred in the book of diseases. There is reference to other book, and this about the woman where the objection has been taken, why women were allowed to see the body remains of the Buddha, and they have shed tears, and it was defiled by blessed one was defiled by the tears, was a big claim on Ananda. Fourth was even when suggestions so evident, hints so clear were given by the blessed one, Ananda did not beseech him, saying, "Let the blessed one remain on for a kalpa, let the happy one remain for a kalpa, for the good and happiness of the great multitude, out of pity for the world, so for the good and the gain." And this refers to the conversation of the book of the great disease. This has been referenced, but the woman's was not referred. Here they are mentioning that Ananda must have requested the Buddha to live for he, use his Ruddhi to live for eons, and uh, if he would have requested, then he would have lived for longer using that some other power. And this has been referenced in the book of great disease. The fifth claim was uh, the Ananda procured the admission for women into the Dhamma and Prina proclaimed by Tathagata. That did it, and for all this, the Ananda's hmm, Ananda's reply was like that, okay, that I did do, or that I did not. Thinking of Mahapajapati Gautami, the sister of the blessed one's mother, his nurse and comforter who gave him milk, how she, when she who had borne him was dead, herself suckled him as with mother's milk. I see no fault therein, nevertheless, out of my faith in you, I confess that as a fault. Though the forgetfulness was great, sirs, that I did not ask that of the blessed one. I see no fault therein. Nevertheless, out of my faith in you, I confess that it was my fault. Ananda is being very genuine here, and he is saying, though I committed it or not committed it, but I will accept and I will go ahead. As you are my brother, I will confess that these are my faults. So, how Baba Sahib has analyzed this in Rise and Fall of Woman on the claims made on the Ananda. With his deep analysis, Baba Sahib pointed out to all these charges, Ananda pleaded guilty. Whenever he should have pleaded guilty or not is another matter. What is of interest is the third charge, because it relates with the woman, because it has great relevance on the issue in question. Why did Ananda allow women to touch the body of the uh, uh, blessed one? If the advice has been given him as mentioned in the Mahaparinibban Sutta, is true as a fact. Uh, Whether Ananda was so flagrantly and knowingly disobeyed the advice given by the Buddha a few minutes before, the answer must be in the negative. What follows from this negative answer? What follows is that Buddha has not given such an advice as is alleged against him. For if he had given such an advice, Ananda could not have acted contrary to it, because this Mahaparinibban Sutta, if we imagine the situation, if the conversation happened, it was just right before the Mahaparinibban of the blessed one, the Buddha. And as soon as he has met with the Mahaparinirvan, then the woman has come and they have shedded the tears, and he has allowed. There is, Ananda was so near and dear to Buddha, and he praised him also. So it seems so unnatural for Ananda to behave in such a rude way and did not listen to the important advices given by the Buddha. So, for if he had given such an advice, Ananda could have not acted contrary to it. So it is therefore stands to reason that no such advice has been given by the Buddha. And here references is from a Rise and Fall of Woman. Now we can see did the Buddha and Bhikkhu Sangha ran away and abstained from seeing the Bhikkhuni Sangha when approached. So there are many instances of the few which Baba Sahib has taken is this the chief alms giver Visakha. The Sutta Puttaka is full of frequent visits of Visakha and instances of entering in monastery to seek the guidance if the Buddha wherever necessary. At a time, Buddha advised her and preached the doctrine from time to time. Instances of meeting with Visakha Migaramata. When Visakha was not happy with the settlement on the matter with the Kosalan king Pasendi, she seek the guidance of the Buddha. Second time, Buddha gives advice to Vishaka to follow the eight factors of opposite, the Ashtashila, so that it is of great fruit and benefit, extraordinarily brilliant and pervasive. So then the third instances we can witness the dear and beloved granddaughter of Visakha, Migara's mother, had just passed away. And fourth, Buddha advising Visakha on possessing four qualities. A woman is heading for victory in the present world and her life in this world succeeds. So these are the interaction with the Visakhas with the Buddha. Buddha didn't deny her. Buddha talked her, Buddha preached her, Buddha trained her, Buddha gave her the instructions. So other we can see the different example. Here comes the Ambapali, who is the courtesan. So the Ambapali of Vaisali went to see the Buddha and gave him and his monks an invitation for a meal at her house. She was courtesan. She was the most beautiful woman in Vaisali. Did the Buddha and the Bhikkhus avoid her? On the other hand, they accepted her invitation, rejecting the invitation of the Licchavi, who felt quite insulted on that account, and went to her home and partook of her food. So she is a beautiful woman, and she is a kind of Ganika of whole town. So here also Buddha is not refraining anyone to be in contact with her. This is a noteworthy thing to notice. So in the Nandakavada Sutta, tales of Mahapajapati Gautami having brought 500 armed women with her to the Buddha when he was staying at Sravasti with a request that he should instruct them in the doctrine and discipline. Did the Buddha run away from them? Here, Buddha is interacting with them. The reports of the frequent visits of Queen Malika, wife of King Pasenji, to the Buddha for religious instructions are scattered in the Pitakas. And we can further witness the respect towards women. Buddha never put any interdict on the contact with women. He advised the bhikkhus that whenever they met any woman, do they call up the mother mind, the sister mind, or the daughter mind, as the case may be, that is, regard a woman as you would your own mother, sister, or daughter. So Buddha did not believe daughter born is bad luck. Once King Pasenjit was visiting the Buddha at Savasti in Jeta's garden, a messenger from the royal palace came and informed him that his wife Queen Malika had given birth to a daughter. On hearing this news, the king went off his color and looked sad and dejected. The Buddha noticed this change on his face and asked him for the cause of it. On being informed, the Buddha said, "Why be sorry? A woman child, a lord of male, may prove even a better offspring than a male, for she may grow up wise and virtuous. The boy that she may bear may do great deeds and rule great realms." Here we can say that at a time in ancient India, The Buddha didn't believe the orthodox, ancient, past superstitions of India, having born the daughter in family is a bad luck or it's a bad thing. But and here we know that Buddha changed his approach of questioning the answers where according to the audience he is interacting with. So here the Buddha, knowing that King Pasenjit is whole full of Raj, how his kingdom will go and who will take over him and who will be sitting on his throne after he goes, he will think about that. So he is thinking about the successor. So that's why he Buddha knew it, and that's why he has put in such a way that okay, the daughter is born, she may give birth to a Chakravati Raja in that sense. So and in another instances, we see that Buddha believed in authority of virtuous women. In answer to a question, so as to why some families rise and others decay, the Buddha is reported to have told the bhikkhus that whatsoever families, monks, having attained greatness of positions, fail to last long, because they seek not for what is lost, they repair not the decay, they eat and drink to excess. They put in authority a woman or a man that is immoral. So, whatsoever families fail to last long, all of them do so because of these four reasons or one or the other of them. So, here Buddha is emphasizing and Buddha is advising if families wish to last long, then put in authority a virtuous woman. Buddha considered the woman as a treasure in describing the bhikkhus, what happens when a monarch who rules the wheel, who is destined to be a Chakravarti, appears in the world. Buddha is reported to have told the monks that there are seven things which are defined, but woman is the one treasure here. So, and also Buddha believed women are supreme. On another occasion, the Buddha, speaking of the value of a woman to the world, said, woman is the commodity supreme because she is indispensable utility, or because through her bodhisattvas and world rulers take birth. So, and there are foremost theories and titles, especially these titles have been offered by the Buddha. That foremost of my non disciples in seniority is Mahapajapati Gautami. Mahaparnanam Yadinam Khema. With a great wisdom is Khema. Iti Mantinam Yadinam Upalavanna. With psychic power is Uppalvanna. Vinayadharanam Yadinam Patachara, who have memorized the text on monastic training, is Patachara. Dhammakatinam Yadidam Dhammadina, who speaks on the teaching is Dhammadina. Jainam Yadidam Nanda, who practice absorption is Nanda. Aradhya Viriyanam Yadidam Sona, who are energetic is Sona. Dibba Chakkunam Yadidam Bakula, with clairvoyance is Sakula. Dibachakunam yadidam bakula. Declarance is sakula. Kippapanninam yadidam bhadda kundal kesa. With sweet insight is bhadda kundal kesa. Ubbenivasam annusarantanyam yadidam bhadda kapilani. Who recollect past lives is bhadda kapilani. Maha, Mahabhinnam patinam yadidam bhadda kanchana. Who have attained great insight is bhadda kanchana. Lukkachivara Yadidam Kisa Gautami, who wear post robes is Kisa Gautami. Satidumuttam Yadidam Singalaka Matadi, who are strong in faith is Singalaka Mata. So these are all the prominent bhikkhunis who has gained expertise in some commendable fields, and Buddha has given the titles to them. Even there are references to the in the sutta saying that okay, when in the absence of the Buddha, when the teaching has been given by the prominent bhikkhunis, and when Buddha used to return, he used to ask monks or the bhikkhuni sangha what has been delivered by the teacher. And it so happened that the same text which Buddha would have been saying or preaching, the same text has been delivered by the bhikkhunis. So such respect and such position, prominent position was present for the Bhikkhuni Sangha, for Bhikkhunis in Buddha's era. So we are coming to the conclusion. So this indicates denial of any possibility of Buddha's opinion that women were a low class both admission would lower the status of the Sangha in public intent. Nor did he think that women intellectually or morally were incapable of realizing the ideal of his doctrine and his discipline. When Ananda asked about the same question before Bhikkhuni ordination, Buddha affirmed that women are fully capable of realizing his doctrine and his discipline. All this leads to make decision that Buddha did not shun women and women were not afraid of going to the Buddha. So let's summarize what are the 21 reasons we have discussed here. The 21 reasons why the text on the question of Ananda on women from Mahaparinibban Sutta is later interpolation by the Bhikkhus. Not one criteria can be said historical hypothesis. We are talking some serious stuff here, but we have the following. The first is a doctrine. Extremity mentioned on take of women is not easily digestible. The possibility of Ananda asking such type of question and the Buddha answering in such a fashion seems very contradictory from the respectful behavior towards the woman by Ananda, which can be seen in many suttas, as the language is more moderate in the well-known teachings elsewhere in the suttas. And second, Bhikkhu's compilation. Those who compiled this text were the monks, and they will write in a such a way to favor the monks only, in order to preserve its celibacy. Celibacy is the main thing why the Buddha also predicted that his Dhamma Vinaya will remain for only 500 years. And Buddha, has to make many amendments and make many rules in Vinaya, monastic rules, so that this Buddha prevented to refrain from this happening. And we are successfully witnessing it after Buddha has passed away after 2500 years also. So, the narration here. Question is abruptly inserted, disturbing the flow of the sutta, which we have discussed the first point. Late Sutta Pitaka edition. This sutta belongs to Digha Nikaya, part of the Sutta Pitaka, which was not formed until the 400 years of the Buddha's Mahaparinibban. Fifth reason being the parallels. This, this section is absent in Sanskrit and Chinese Tripitaka also. References to other suttas. Generally, the text in the sutta is referred to another sutta, but this text is absent from all other suttas. And grammar and the syntax. It is just copied from the next section, making no sense of the subject because the subject has been changed in the previous one, but it has been not changed here. Expert translators in past. Opinion like Mrs. Rice David in past have expressed their concern over the passing down the materials with oral tradition and clumsy editors and narrators. Today's translators like Bhikkhu Sujato, who translated the Sutta Pitaka, is in very much disagreement about the authenticity on this part of the Sutta, who has done the grammatical study and proved this text is not original. And there is a zero probability of Ananda asking such questions. Buddha and Bhikkhu Sangha used to interact and see and talk with the Bhikkhuni Sangha when approached. Buddha advised Bhikkhus to not to make a habit to visit lay upasikas frequently, as they may be misunderstood with the frequent contact with the woman. But he did not forbid such visits. Did he express any disdain about women as such? So the 13th point will be the Buddha advised bhikkhus to regard a woman as he would your own mother, sister, or daughter. And this indicates denial of any possibility of Buddha's opinion that women were a low esteem and feared that they might lower the prestige of the Sangha. Buddha did not regard women as inferior to the man, either in point of intellect or character. Buddha felt that the birth of a daughter was not an occasion of for the sorrow, but might well be an occasion of joy. 17 reasons, Buddha held the view that those families are saved from a downfall which place a woman in authority over their affairs. Buddha had no hesitation in describing woman as one of the seven treasures. Buddha believed woman a thing of supreme value, and Buddha tried to motivate and elevate women. This has been seen. And four more series and titles given by the Buddha. All these points lead us to the question on the originality and the hypothesis that the text was a later interpolation by Bhikkhus. Based on that, uh, the remarks has been made against the Buddha, against the biased treatment towards the Buddha, towards the woman by the Buddha. The harsher attitude towards the woman might have emerged from the blames put on the Ananda at the end of the first council. There are further points, but I would like to stop here. I'm so thankful to all of you to listen to me. Thank you for listening.
Nice presentation, Rucha. I just joined, and yeah, since last 10 minutes.
Mhm.
So yeah, you did a great job. If you could share this information, like slides in our group, that would be nice. I will read it.
Yeah, Rajeshri, I will first of all wishing you a very, very happy birthday. I am really feeling privileged that on the occasion of your birthday, you have joined, and I am so sorry that I didn't know it's your birthday also, and not to plan in a. I'm really feeling.
Oh, no worries. It's morning, so yeah, we are good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, we did not know at all that Rajeshri's birthday is also on same day.
Yeah.
I know. खूप लोकांचे birthday आहेत आज.
True.
19th of November.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Mm, mm.
Thank you very much, Rucha, for
Yeah.
nice presentation.
Thank you.
Uh,
Mm.
I think about the question and questions raised by Ananda to Buddha
Mm.
when Mahaprajapati comes to ordain her as in Bhikkhuni Sangha.
Mm.
So I think the question answer is session is very good of them, and nothing wrong in it, because when he asks why he is the opponent of the does he deny equality for women? So Buddha says no. Means he has given liberty to women, equality to women, and education he did not deny to women. So all the questions were asked by the Ananda were answered beautifully by Buddha, and he denied on the practical grounds, because women who were to join in the Sangha, then those were upasikas, and they were not liberated from the defilements, as the Arant and Nibban stage, they did not attain,
Yeah.
like Buddha and other bhikkhus. So he wanted to follow these upasikas who were newly
Join.
entered into the joined in the sangha, not by following 8 rules, not to see, and if they happen to talk with the women, any bhikkhu, then he should they should listen their talk. Do not They should not talk much while conversation, and still it happens, then they should be mindful in talking like this. So all these 8 rules were on the practical grounds. So in rise and fall of the women Hinduism, and Baba Sahib also mentioned all these things. So this conversation, I don't think any negativity in it.
Alkot, of what you are referring is a part of Vinaya. And the
Okay.
conversation with the Mahapajapati Gautami you are mentioned, right? This is not that conversation. This is just before the Mahaparinibban of the Buddha. This is that. And there's the question, and there is a syllabus to maintain syllabus. It was very important challenge for the Buddha, and as you have mentioned, the eight Garudhamma, we call it as eight rules the Sakyan women needed to follow before entering the Bhikkhuni Sangha. And then only Buddha gave the grant to form the Bhikkhuni Sangha. That part is there, but I haven't covered it. I have just covered the first part of the rise and fall of Hindu women there, just to assure the text of it. Because not seeing and not talking uh, is very serious and vile blames on the Buddha itself. But if we see the monastic codes also, it has not been mentioned like that. As you have mentioned, to talk less is definitely mentioned here. To to maintain the harmony, and because uh, if I can, I don't want to continue the topic because it's here already 7:54, and what occasion we have come here. I wanted to give the time for that, but it's not happening. But that's okay. The the point is that Buddha never forbids from contacting and being in conversation with the woman. And based on these texts, no many misunderstanding forms, and especially Hindu people will take the basis of this, and they will proclaim many things, and they will blame the Buddha. And right now also Bhikkhuni Sangha in today's world also is very much suffering, and they have not been granted to be a Bhikkhuni, which is the very right of any individual if she wants to, but that has been denied based on this Vinaya legalese, based on this wrong text. So this Baba Sahib has analyzed this very thoroughly, and he has clearly said in the first point itself that this is the lateral interpolation and lateral addition uh, in the Mahaparinibban Sutta, because it has not been referenced also anywhere. Because generally it happens that this text is referred. The blames on the Ananda also, the third point, why he allowed the women, and the weeping tears defile the body remains of the Buddha. That is also not been referred anywhere. So we need to consider this seriously, because uh, just it is mentioned in the sacred text. We should not, just mindlessly, but we need to be mindful while uh, considering this. Uh,
Okay. Well,
uh,
it was written earlier, this rise and fall of the Hindu men by Baba Sahib. But later on, he clearly mentioned in Buddha and his Dhamma all these things. There is no doubt about this issue.
hmm, yeah.
So we should consider this final
Yes.
solution of this.
Yes. Uh, I see Deepak here, but your audio is not connected, Deepak. Thank you for listening. I will stop the recording, and you can